Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective.
Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Hopefully, I had a hard time getting that word out. Hopefully, it's a long word here on a Thursday morning. Hopefully, you're doing well wherever you might be, all over the world, with us here on the show. Fantasy Sports Daily is powered by FantasyGuru.com. And we are on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's 5 days a week. We will be on tomorrow, so look for us then. Despite the holiday, we'll be here in the morning here. I'll be joined by Russell Clay tomorrow. Today, I'm joined by Tyler Beaker. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Today is also a big day because it's the last day of the Elite Sports Game Time show. Justin Fensman and I have our show tonight, 8 to 10 Eastern. Last day, we're doing 80s nights, so playing some 80s music. One final show for us next week, the Elite Sports show with Jeff Mans, which is Monday through Friday. I'm on every Wednesday with Jeff. That show will continue on moving forward, but that show actually moves to its new time. So Elite Sports Game Time, tonight's the last show for Justin and I. Next week, Jeff Mann's show will move from 3 to 6 Eastern to 2 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. So we'll be here. I'll be here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday next week. I'll be on with Jeff Wednesdays, as always. Jeff's show moves to 2 to 5 p.m. next week. It's East Coast time. So put that on the old calendar. All right. What are we talking about here? Oh, Eric, by the way, says, fantastic background. The Santa Cruz background looks fantastic. It does. Yeah, there it is. I'll be there in a month. I know. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good news, good news, good news, Eric. All right. Here we go. Let's see what we're talking about today. Here's what we're talking about today. We're talking about Drafters.com. We'll go through that deal again. We've only got a couple of days left here, so we'll talk about that. Talk some baseball. Yordan Alvarez update. We didn't talk about this because I wasn't here yesterday. I wanted to talk about it a little bit today. Arozarena, an update on Max Muncy to sell Josh Jung, Isaac Collins, Francisco Alvarez. Injured arms across the land. Got Fred Zinke dropped the note in Discord, or excuse me, in Twitter X yesterday. So we'll talk about that. Spencer Schwellenbach. Got a lot to say about him and his injury. Luis Ortiz, Kutter, Crawford, Reese, Olson, Hunter Greene, Robert Suarez. And in about 25 minutes, we'll visit with Tyler Beaker. We do that every Thursday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll talk about the Drafters' best ball that we're just going to talk about here. We'll give a quick review of the Scott Fishbowl, which starts for most people, including me, next week. We'll ask him his thoughts about Darren Waller. Then we'll talk about the wide receiver position. Fallers, risers, who should we be talking about? Who should we be ignoring? We'll go to all of that here in a moment, talking with Tyler Beaker. Before we get to any of that, you see it on the screen here, Drafters.com. This is a big deal. Only good for the next 10 days. Well, now it's good for the next 8 days. So we're losing time here, folks. We got about a calendar week left to work at Drafters.com. If you sign up for the best ball tournament at Drafters.com previously, they're doing a really nice thing. They're giving you a reload match. And most companies don't do that anymore. Companies used to do this, and most don't do it anymore. So it's really good. So if you sign up with Drafters.com before, go back to the website, sign up for this year's product, use the promo code Elite Reload. One word, Elite Reload. That gets you a 20% match. Really nice bonus for those people that have signed up again. Thank you, Drafters, because most sites don't do that anymore. Elite Reload is the reload code. For those of you that have never signed up at Drafters.com, you go to Drafters.com/refer/elite. Drafters.com/refer/elite. Get signed up there. You get a 100% bonus match up to $500, meaning you put $100 in, they give you $100. You put $200 in, $200. $300 in, $300. $450, $450. It's a really nice offer there as well. For those of you wondering what the NFL best ball is about, again, we'll talk to Tyler Beaker about that in a few moments, about 25 minutes actually. But as we've discussed previously with Tyler, for those of you that aren't signed up at FantasyGuru.com, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner, get signed up. That product over there includes specific Drafters.com rankings, Tyler's best ball targets, strategies, roster construction for drafters. All that is part of the draft guide over at FantasyGuru.com. So get signed up here and let's go. All right, let's get that beach picture back up there. Here we go, beach picture. Hope everyone's going to have a good time. But again, remember, everyone, we'll be here tomorrow, July 4th. So if you are around, you can always watch us live, catch us on demand, listen as a podcast, watch us, all those kind of things. Go to FantasyGuru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. Type in Fantasy Sports Daily to wherever you listen to podcasts. So that's another positive for you. You can also watch us, leave comments, questions, all that kind of stuff throughout. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, and on Twitter X @Fantasy Guru site. Angela says, I lost Schwellenbach and possibly Muncy. Yeah, we'll talk about those guys. Angelo, here coming up. John G, tomorrow is your birthday. Happy birthday, birth of the country, and birth of you, John. Good birthday. Happy birthday to you early here. Rubby17 says, awesome work with the bets last night. A 5-0 sweep. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, we were 5-0 last night. 4 player bets and then a money line parlay. So 5-0 last night. And remember, go to fantasyguru.com, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner, and get signed up for everything we've got for baseball for one price, one package, all of it. No more, hey, I want DFS, or I want the wagering, or I want the seasonal. You get all of it for one price, one package, everything we do for baseball. You can also send a note to support at fantasyguru.com. Did go 5-0 in the bets last night. Had a little bit of a down month of June. Started out blazing hot. I think I'm like 7-2 here at the start of June, something like that. So blazing hot, or July, excuse me, to start July, which is great to see. The rankings at fantasyguru.com have been updated. Those are the first of every month. We update the entire ranking set. So July 1st, the ranking just got updated. Yesterday, the Solds rankings came out for those of you in Solds League. Today, we've got a closer grid piece available over there. I'll be writing my race plays, my DFS article later today. So all kinds of baseball information for you and us over at fantasyguru.com. All right, let's get into it a little bit. Yordan Alvarez, just to say it, I won't belittle or I won't extend this out too much because obviously you all know what's going on. He was transferred to the 60-day injured list yesterday with the hand issue. Not a big deal because he's already missed the 60 days, so I don't think that changes his time frame. There is growing concern that his season might be over. He hurt his hand. They thought it was no big deal. It took him a month to find a fracture. A month later, when they found the fracture, they said it was 60% healed. It's literally been another month since that point in time, which obviously means he should be 100% healed. Not the case. He took BP the other day. His hand is still sore. And I said this on Sirius XM. I said, look, I don't know what's going on. I'm not calling the guy soft or anything like that, but you got to play. At some point, you've got to play. And Yordan Alvarez, for all his greatness, and he is a spectacular player, his ability to hit baseball and offensive weapon, he's fantastic. He doesn't play. Man. So I don't know what's going on. He's going to visit more specialists, and with the starts and stops and the setbacks, and I mean, you have to think that surgery is a possibility here. And if there's surgery, we're halfway through the year. Like if there's surgery, his season could be over. I don't get it. I don't get it. But that's where we're at right now with Yordan Alvarez. I only have him on one team. It is my Dynasty League team, so this hurts a lot. We'll hopefully get information in the next couple of days what to do with Yordan Alvarez, but got to play, kid. Just not something he's done here over the last handful of years. Randy Arozarena hit a home run last night. Why is that a big deal? Well, we talked about him last we saw each other on Tuesday. That's 3 straight games for Randy Arozarena with the home run. And, I said the other day, I said, look, limits and all that. And I remember specifically having multiple conversations with people over at fantasyguru.com complaining about Randy Arozarena and people were going to drop Randy Arozarena. And he's on pace to basically go 20-25 yet again. And not just that, the last 2 weeks, he's been absolutely on fire. He's hitting 377 the last 2 weeks. He's got 4 home runs the last week. The last month, he's got 5 home runs and 6 steals. Like he's on a heater, as they say, as the kids say. Do they say that still? He's on a heater, folks. Another strong day for him, 3 days in a row with the home run for Randy Arozarena. Max Muncy. Ugh. For those that didn't see it, Max Muncy, who started the season horribly and then has been one of the most productive third basemen in all of baseball for the last 45 days, hurt his knee. He leaped up to catch a throw from home. It was a throw into the base runner toward second base, so he had to jump up high to get it. Michael Taylor was doing a head-first dive into third base and basically drove his helmet right into the knee of Max Muncy from the side. It did not look good at all. Now, after the game, the team said, we're hopeful that his ACL is okay and that this is not going to be a significant injury that's going to knock him out the rest of the season. If a player, we used to talk to Dr. David Chow, who was an NFL doctor for over 15 years. We used to talk to him on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio all the time, Kyle Elfring. And Dr. Chow basically told us, because again, we visited with Dr. Chow 75 times. He basically said that you can, as a doctor, go up to a player that's hurt their knee and move their knee around like with your hands, and 90% of the time tell if the guy's towards ACL. Like you're able to manually check. You don't need MRIs. You can check and have a really good understanding or ability to discern whether the guy's towards ACL or not. Given the fact that the Dodgers are saying that we think his ACL is okay, I'm hopeful his ACL is okay, because I think that's basically what the doctors have informed us is capable of doing. Now, the question would be, even if his ACL is okay, how much time is he going to miss? We can all keep our fingers crossed that he's going to avoid the injury list. I think that's kind of foolish at this point. The good news is, with the way the injury happened, his foot wasn't completely planted. There was a little bit of give, so his foot kind of slid, which is nice. Let's hope that his stay on the injury list is short. I keep my fingers crossed because I have Max Muncy in a couple of leagues. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's a minor injury. We'll continue to follow that for more information. Interestingly enough, Kiki Hernandez came in to play third base last night. I saw a rumor that, well, if Muncy's out long term, maybe they'll just go make a trade for Nolan Arenado. Who knows? The Dodgers do like to spend money. I read a bunch of articles this morning trying to figure this out. I didn't see a single article that said definitively that A or B or C is going to be the new third baseman if Muncy is out. So great reporting. Yeah, you're going to lose your cornerstone third baseman. Who's going to play third base? We'll just talk about it tomorrow. Kiki Hernandez obviously is in the mix there. I think we in the fantasy space would love to see Hae-Sung Kim play third because of his offensive game, but I don't think that's a legitimate possibility here. We'll wait to see what happens with the team, but they might have to make a move if Muncy is going to miss a lot of time. Rangers activated Jake Burger from the 10-day injured list, so he's back. Hopefully he'll pick up and hit in the second half like we expected him to do all season. He's had the ups and downs all season long. We're all aware of that. It's not about Jake Burger, though, that I want to discuss here. It's about Josh Jung with the Rangers. Send him to AAA. Now, he hasn't been great at all. He's got one home run the last 30 games. He's driven in 16 runs in 30 games, which is pretty good for a guy hitting 160 with the home run. He's absolutely struggled. He's hitting 240 with a 290 on base percentage. Like, he's not done well. Are they better off with Josh Smith and Ezekiel Duran at third base? Beyond that, I have Josh Jung in the Tout Wars. 15-team mixed league. He's on my bench. He's hardly ever played. I got to make a decision this weekend. We'll see. I'm in a 15-team league, though, and that's 29 roster spots. So maybe I'll hold on to him and see how it goes. But for those of you in redraft leagues, head-to-head leagues for sure, adios. In even roto leagues, if it's a 10 or 12-team league, you got to let him go, I think. He number one hasn't hit anyway. Number two, you probably let him go 3 weeks ago, a month ago anyway. So maybe I'm just speaking to myself here. But this is really surprising. Hopefully he'll go down to the farm, have a great couple of weeks and get recalled. But his career is stalling out a little bit here. He missed last season with the injuries, and this year has not been very good. And, Josh Jung was supposed to be a 30-100 guy. We're not seeing it right now from the somewhat young third baseman of the Rangers. For a guy that we are seeing it from who's young, Isaac Collins went 4 for 4 yesterday with a double, a walk. He hit a home run in the first game with a doubleheader. Collins he plays for the Brewers, by the way, for those people that don't know. He's somebody that I've gotten one question about. A little bit surprising, actually. Give me a second here. A little surprising because I know a lot of you play the recency game. Last 2 weeks hitting 360 with 1,000 OPS. And he scored 12 runs in 12 games. He's getting on base, producing the base hits. Doesn't necessarily play every day for the Brewers, but he's out there an awful lot. And he's starting to be intriguing. He's more of a spark plug kind of guy. On the year, we're looking at 5 home runs, 8 steals, which is really good work for less than 200 plate appearances. Hitting 270 and 794 OPS. Don't get carried away here with Isaac Collins, but the short-term pickup, folks, he's not a bad option. But remember, he doesn't play every day. He is platooned, so he's not somebody that you're just going to set and forget on a Monday and get 22 at bats this week. Another interesting player, Francisco Alvarez, demoted. Francisco Alvarez on at least one of my teams. And we've had the discussion, what do we do here? He's been demoted. I'm sure a lot of you have dropped him with the result of the demotion, which is understandable, unless you're in a 2-catcher deeper league. Alvarez had a home run yesterday in a doubleheader for their minor league affiliate down at Syracuse. He's hit a home run 3 straight. Now it's 3 games, it's 3 swings. But you go down to the minor leagues and you hit a home run in 3 straight games, people are taking notice. So fingers crossed that they like what they see from Alvarez, that they like the approach. Maybe he has another good week here, and maybe he's back next weekend. It could all go horribly wrong. He could go 1 for his next 20 with 9 strikeouts as well. It's been a really rough season for him trying to find his game. But home run in 3 straight games, just wanted to point that out for Francisco Alvarez. Justin V says, the Oracle, good morning or afternoon, depending on where you're broadcasting from. I'm in California. It is 9:15 in the morning. So it is good morning. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate that. A sweep last night once again for the betting community in Discord yesterday. 2 days in a row coming. Justin, let's not get greedy. We did go 5-0 last night. We talked about it earlier. I am not anticipating going 5-0 tonight. I don't even know if I'll have 5 bets tonight. Interestingly enough, I wrote a bunch of bets up yesterday that I didn't post. I just share this stuff. I was 8 for 9 yesterday, so I should have posted more bets. But I don't ever want to do that anyway. I think 5 is maybe 6 if we get nuts. Usually we're in that 3 or 4 range per night. But we'll certainly give it a shot tonight, Justin. But going undefeated, it's a pretty high bar. I'm glad we hit it yesterday. It's a pretty high bar here. Gerardo, any MLB bets posted for today? Just Gerardo, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. My schedule is the following. I'm on the West Coast. Start work at 6:45 in the morning. I do this show in the morning. Then I usually write either the seasonal or the baseball article, seasonal DFS article over at fantasyguru.com. Then I start digging into the betting. So I don't ever post bets until the lineups are out anyway. I think it's foolish to be posting bets in the morning when you don't know what the lineup's going to look like in the afternoon. I hardly ever bet the morning slate of games just because it just doesn't work with the clock with me, especially with the show in the morning. So normally my bets are up about 90 to 120 minutes before first pitch in the evening. So I don't ever really post any bets before, let's say, crazy scenario, 4 o'clock Eastern time. Usually it's closer to 5 o'clock Eastern time. So later in the afternoon, Gerardo, again, I apologize for not knowing how to say your name. Since we're going to start talking about pitching, the second question from John G here. How good is Christopher Sanchez getting up 4 runs just once this year? I think he also had 16 straight games last year giving up 4 runs. He never gets blown up. He never gets blown up because he does 2 things that are really good. His walk rate's a little, average, but the strikeout rate has continued to climb with its velocity. And the second piece, he gets ground balls. You keep the ball on the ground, you get a lot more outs, right? You get a lot. You get also allowed to. You get to go through batters quicker. You don't need to have every guy, hit 8, 9, 10 pitches, throw a couple of pitches, throw a sinker in there, get him to beat it into the ground and get an out. He is really good. He's been very effective, and all he needs now is consistency in terms of taking the ball. That's the only missing piece. Can he throw 175 innings year after year? But yeah, we talked about Christopher Sanchez a lot. He is very, very good. Speaking of pitching, Fred Zinke, my longtime friend, shout out to you, Fred. If you're watching this, you're probably not, but if you are, I saw him tweet something out the other day, and I just wanted to share last night. I just wanted to share it. His ADP data, just a quick little thing, but just as we dive into the pitching here today. 16 of the initial 24 starting pitchers, according to ADP when the season began, 16 of the initial 24 starting pitchers are either currently on the injured list or have already finished a long IL stint. 8 of them are on the 60-day IL. Among the 8 survivors are the top 3 in ADP: Skubal, Skeens, Wheeler, and then a little bit further down, Jacob deGrom, which is about as well. Jacob deGrom. I know. That 16 of the top 24 SPs have ended up on the injured list. You sure you want to build around pitching? You sure you want to take pitching early? You sure you want to be in a league that uses pitching? I bring this all up, and I'm sure this is why Fred tweeted out the story yesterday, is because we have the Spencer Schwellenbach situation. Wow. Schwellenbach goes out there, double-digit strikeouts, everything's okay. Elbow's a little bit sore after the game, says, and no one really, there's no reports that there were concerns or anything like this, so we didn't know, we had no idea. So the news yesterday, bombshell. But Schwellenbach said, my elbow's a little sore. They run some tests. He's got a fractured elbow. And he's not going to do anything for 4 weeks. And then they'll start the process of trying to ramp him back up. And when you read the reports on Schwellenbach, they say, we hope he's he's back this season. We hope he pitches in September. Oof. So Spencer Schwellenbach is, if you're in a head-to-head league, if you're in a roto league and you've got an IL spot, sure. But, I mean, it's looking like September's the best-case scenario. Devastating news. Again, nothing, we didn't know this even happened. He pitched very well in the outing and just wasn't feeling right after it. Here is the no shit Sherlock part after it, and I give him credit, Spencer Schwellenbach, for saying out loud what I have said for years now, what we've talked about on this show all season long. And here's the upshot of that. When talking to reporters about the injury, he flat out said that he believed the increased velocity might have caused a fracture in his elbow. And again, sorry for swearing, but no shit, Sherlock. So I love the fact that a major league pitcher's got the guts to say, look, I'm throwing the ball harder than ever before. Maybe that's why I hurt my arm. I give a guy credit for saying what everyone either overtly says in our space or keeps in the back of their mind. If you're throwing 95 and then you come in throwing 98, we all get excited about it, but maybe you should just keep throwing 95, right? Does this scary-ish situation here cause other pitchers to say, probably not? Because as we've discussed on this show so many times, all these guys are trying to do is race to the bank. They're trying to be as good and dominant as they possibly can to get the contract before their arm blows up. That's all they're doing. Everyone's doing it. Every pitcher in baseball almost is doing this. And almost every team in baseball accepts this. We've heard famously Nick Pivetta, I'm going to pitch till my arm falls off at 100%. Well, yeah, his arm's doing great now for the Padres, but at some point, we talked about Jakob Meyers on this show many times. He's throwing 102 miles an hour and he's got a 96-mile-an-hour slider. Arm's going to blow up at some point. Yeah. Spencer Schwellenbach, maybe the extra velocity was why my elbow got hurt. You think? The Guardians placed Luis Ortiz on the non-disciplinary paid leave list this morning. I don't know if you saw this information. We don't know why he was placed on this list. We have no idea. There's no details yet, but we know from what we're hearing, he's out through the All-Star break because there's an MLB investigation. Non-disciplinary paid leave. Now, if it was PEDs, it would have just, that stuff all gets taken care of and they make the announcement, everything's been adjudicated. So it's not PEDs. Certainly doesn't, this is not how PEDs are normally handled. So I don't know what this is. But the fact that, you know, he's basically out through the All-Star break. And so if you've got Ortiz, who's had some moments this year, right? He's been somebody that you can't necessarily count on, but you've been definitely streaming. Well, he's now out of the rotation. Joey Cantillo will make the start tonight against the Cubs. So Ortiz, who was supposed to start tonight, obviously not making that start, get him out of your lineup. Oh, by the way, Brian was scheduled to start tonight. He won't start tonight. He's going to start tomorrow. They're putting Logan Evans in tonight. So if you got Brian, make sure that you realize he's not starting tonight. He's starting Friday. Everything's fine. They're just getting Logan Evans in the rotation to pitch Thursday. We'll go Friday. Back to Ortiz. I don't know. This is a weird one. Hopefully everything's okay. I'm a little bit nervous that it's not, but we'll see what it is with Luis Ortiz. Kutter Crawford. I mean, he's had the knee injury. Knee injury went back to last year, showed up at camp this year and said, well, my knee's a real big problem. And we all got really nervous. Then as the knee was getting better, he somehow hurt his wrist. Then we saw her getting nervous all again. He had wrist surgery yesterday. So I'm not going to say he wasn't injured because clearly there was something going on here. But, I mean, this is another guy, Kutter Crawford, kind of like Yordan Alvarez. At some point, you just got to go, dude. Completely 100% wasted season from Kutter Crawford. And now with no idea what to expect next year. He's an only league drafter next year. You can't be taking him in a mixed league next year. You just don't even know if he's going to play. So at least we don't have to worry about Kutter Crawford anymore. So there you go. Rubby17 says there's an investigation. Do you have a link? I wouldn't be surprised at all, Rubby, if that is indeed what is going on. Rubby suggested potentially it's a gambling scenario. That does make sense given the facts that we know, and we don't know any facts at this moment, but it does fit. If you've got a link to that, I'd appreciate it because, again, I just saw this news story before the show started today. That is a possibility. We'll see. Reese Olson, who I saw Angelo's mentioning here, is going to start tomorrow. That is true. Good news here. He is expected to return from the finger injury tomorrow on Friday for the Tigers. Threw 74 pitches in his last outing, so should be good for 75, 85 pitches, which is nice. That's basically a full workload for him. Sawyer Gibson Long has gone on the injured list. So with a neck injury that he's dealing with, so that opens up the spot there for Olson to return. Obviously, Olson's a touch and feel kind of guy, versus a blow you away velocity guy. Those guys always make you a little nervous coming back from the injured list, right? Because it's like, is your control going to be pinpointing, going to be able to throw all your pitches effectively versus being able to blow somebody away? So I'd be reluctant to start him against the Guardians, but it's not a matchup to fear. And if you're in a head-to-head or something like that, and you want to go with Reese Olson tomorrow, I'm okay with that. Because again, I think his pitch count is high enough that we can get a victory out of him. He can go 5 innings tomorrow. Hunter Greene, through a simulated game yesterday. He's got 2 injuries, though neither one apparently is very serious. A back and a groin issue that he's dealing with. He threw to a bunch of hitters, I think 5 or 6 of them yesterday. He said after the outing, when he was talking to the reporters, he felt great. Everything was good. So it seems like, wheels up here. Let's get him some minor league rehab work. At this point, I would anticipate Greene returning after the All-Star break. I guess it's possible he makes a start before the All-Star break. Let's not go there. Let's say after the All-Star break. As we've discussed on this show, Burns has got a couple of outings here, and he's got to pitch much better than obviously he did last time out to hold on to that spot in the starting rotation, because we saw another solid effort last night from Nick Martinez. Hunter Greene's coming back. He's going in that rotation. Where is Burns? Hopefully Burns will get it back on track and he'll stay in that rotation, but it's always something that's been kind of lingering there. Would he be in the rotation or not? Finally, Robert Suarez. Robert Suarez allowed a run on 3 hits. Still got the save yesterday, but his ERA is over 4. And we got some problems here. Again, the closer grade is up at Fantasy Guru. I just went up this morning. Suarez, who's got 24 saves and has been fantastic this season, ERA over 4, not good. You can deal with that if the guy's going to post 45 saves, of course, but it's not good. But it's really bad of late, and it's been, frankly, horrendous of late. His last 11 games, so this is not 3 or 4 games, last 11 outings for Robert Suarez. His ERA is 10.8, and his WHIP is 2.4. Absolutely horrendous. This is not poor pitching. This is horrendous work. So, we've talked about him. We've talked about the situation. We've talked about if Jason Adam is out there. Adam, we discussed this on Monday. Adam hasn't pitched stellar late here the last month either, but Robert Suarez is teetering on the edge of it all going to pot here. Keep an eye on that scenario. If you've got Suarez, I would strongly recommend going out and grabbing Jason Adam off the waiver wire if he is available. Chris D says, Kershaw reached 3,000 strikeouts. Will anyone reach again with the way pitchers are handled now? Chris, we actually talked about this on the Elite Sports Game Time show. Remember, the final Elite Sports show is tonight, 8 to 10 Eastern. Justin Fensterman and I. Justin and I talked about this specifically last night, and we both basically said this might be it. Are we going to see another 300-game winner? There's only one active pitcher that's got 220 wins. It's Verlander. I think there's only 4 guys with 150 wins, and one of them's, Garrett Cole. Zach Wheeler's got 111 victories. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's got 111 wins. 300 win guys, I think that's gone. The 3,000 strikeouts, guys have massive strikeout totals per inning pitched. So I can't rule out. I feel better about there being a 3,000 strikeout arm in the future than I do a 300 victory guy in the future. Do I feel good about either one at this point? No. Because you're right, Chris. It's not just you're totally right about the way they handle guys. It's not just the way they handle guys. It's also how players perform and stay healthy. It's the old double-edged sword. I'm looking at my team here, by the way. I'm just sorry I'm a little bit distracted. Man, injuries, just the absolute worst. Oh boy. But yeah, I don't know. To answer your question directly, Chris, that might be it. Hopefully I'm wrong. But as Justin and I discussed last night, we're going to have to reassess. We're probably going to have to drop the 300 victory total as the pinnacle, the panacea of pitching, down to 200. We'll probably have to drop the strikeouts down to at least 2,500, if not 2,000. The game is just different. Yep. Same game is just different. All right, so that's the baseball talk. Let's talk some football. And every Thursday, we talk football with our main man, Tyler Beaker. We got a lot to talk about with Tyler today, the day before July 4th. We'll quiz him on what he's going to do for the holiday, as well as some football talk here. So let's bring him in. He looks very red today. Tyler Beaker of FantasyGuru.com. How you doing, Tyler?
Doing good, Ray. How about you? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Looking forward to tomorrow. We're going to do the show tomorrow. Still going to be writing tomorrow, but hopefully I'll be able to cut the day short, 2 or 3-ish. Not have to work all day. What are you doing for the holiday?
Nothing on Friday.
Okay.
Saturday, we're thinking of doing a bar crawl, though. So that might be fun. I haven't done one in a minute.
Oh, nice. Are you and your lady or some friends? Who's going?
Yep, me and my lady and another couple. We'll probably hit like 4 or 5 spots. Bounce around. I don't know.
Like
a little day boozing.
Like all in one strip there. You can just walk. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have we're kind of up on the top of the hill now, so we don't have access to that. But at the old house we used to live, same thing. We're like a 10-minute walk to the downtown, and there were like, 4 or 5 restaurants, 3 or 4 bars. So we actually used to do the bar crawl for Halloween all the time.
Oh, nice.
So they would all get together, and it's 1 hour at each spot, and they'd ring a bell or someone would scream, next place, and everyone would walk over, so everyone's in their costumes and everything like that. We actually won Cutest Couple one year. We got a $50 gift certificate for, thank you, got a $50 gift certificate for the taqueria, so we were able to do that. But haven't done one since we moved up here, so it's been about 5 years for 5 years for me. So hopefully you have a good time on yours. You'll have to tell us about it next time.
Yeah, we'll do what I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Here, take photos. Do something. Tyler Beaker of FantasyGuru.com again every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. He joins us. Before we get into specifics about players, I'll throw it up on the screen here and we can talk a little bit about it. That Drafters.com deal that we've got for those people that have already signed up with Drafters. Use the promo code Elite Reload for a 20% reload bonus. For those who have never signed up at Drafters.com, sign up at Drafters.com/refer/elite. You get a 100% bonus bonus match up to $500. So if you put $500 in there, they'll give you $500 too. You've got a lot of best ball data and information. There's actually a best ball guide in the draft guide over at FantasyGuru.com. But you have specific articles just for drafters too, Tyler, right? So these people that are going to sign up for this product, they can just go right to the product at FantasyGuru.com and find out how to win.
Correct. And just recently updated our rankings over at Drafters. Have not added Darren Waller. Not sure I will, guys. I'll be honest with you there. But we have a ton of content over there for the draft guide in terms of best ball content. A lot of it catered specifically for drafters, including the rankings I just mentioned. Some strategy pieces as well, some stacks to target based on where players are going off the board. Drafters, great competition. Unlike other platforms, this is a very straightforward. Their main tournament where it's weeks 1 through 17, most points scored. So nothing strange in terms of the structure or format there. But it's a lot of fun to draft, and I think I just realized what I'm going to do tomorrow. It's going to be entering quite a bit of these.
Oh, okay. So that'll be your day, and then you can take it off and pub crawl on Saturday.
Yep.
Day drinking, by the way, is fun.
I agree. Yeah. We're going to go from like 12 to 5. That's perfect.
It's actually, it's better than night drinking. Getting drunk and stumbling home at 12:30, at 8 at night. Day drinking is good fun. You mentioned the fact that it's 1 through 17, so it's not playoffs and all these weird matchups. Is there anything outstanding in the scoring system with drafters that sets them apart from some of the other scoring systems in best ball, Tyler?
It is a full PPR format, so that differs from Underdog, who's a more popular half PPR format. Okay. It is not a tight end premium. One of the difference it has, it's 20 rounds. So that adds an extra bit of element in terms of roster construction, having those extra 2 spaces relative to other sites that are 18 rounds long. Really helps you in terms of different tactics to deploy there, whether it be identifying deeper sleepers or securing an extra tight end or quarterback to help round out your room. Really makes the draft a bit more fun in my eyes, the 20 rounds.
So remember, go to FantasyGuru.com, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner if you haven't signed up yet. You get access to the draft guide. You can also send a note to support@FantasyGuru.com. You get access to the entire draft guide. Within the draft guide is a best ball draft guide that Tyler has taken care of. He's curated that. In that draft guide for best ball, there are specific articles designed for the Drafters.com setup. Go to Drafters.com/refer/elite. If you've already signed up with them previously, you can get if you've never signed up with them, you get a 100% bonus match there. And if you have signed up previously with Drafters.com, go there and use the promo code Elite Reload to get you a 20% match there, which is nice because most sites don't do that anymore. This used to be a thing a long time ago, Tyler, but most sites, once they get you now, they don't do anything for you. So that's kind of nice too.
Take advantage of it. This one does not last that long, the specific Elite Reload code. So I would hop in there, even if you don't plan on drafting tomorrow like I am, at least have the money in the account so it's set up in terms of you getting the most bang for your buck with that bonus. So I would highly recommend doing it as soon as possible.
Yeah, I wrote, as you can see there on the screen, only good for the next 10 days, which is true when I wrote it, but I think we're down to like 7 or 8 days now. So like Tyler said, get in, just sign up now. You can do the drafts whenever you like. Next week is a big week for a lot of us in the industry. Scott Fishbowl starts for most people. I know there's been some sporadic drafting here and there. You have an article up over at fantasyguru.com talking about this. I read it myself. What's a main takeaway from Scott Fishbowl? Again, there's an article that Tyler breaks this all down with graphs and charts and the whole thing. Give us one bit, a little bit peek behind the curtain. One thing with Scott Fishbowl that you think people should know.
Sure. It's a very different format than your typical drafters contest like we just referenced here. This is a draft where we're all drafting here in July. It's a start-sit league, 22 rounds, 11 starters, 11 bench spots. You can go anywhere from this year. So every year, Scott makes the rules different, which makes it a very interesting format and a very challenging format because it's no longer following the vanilla stuff that we've been drafting since March. I stopped writing these columns because I thought they were more self-indulging than actually helping people. And then we got quite a few people asking for it. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll kick it up again. So I was happy to do the column again, identifying and breaking into the position by position scoring changes and scoring formats. This is an insane format this year, guys. Let me just read like some like crazy stuff. So like it's 0.5 points per carry, which a typical point per carry format is 0.25. So it's essentially doubling that. When you get a point per target, a point per reception on MFL. If you're playing on Sleeper's platform, they don't track targets over there. So instead they're doing 2.5 points per reception. The tight ends on top of all those numbers I just laid out get an extra point per reception. It's super flex if you'd like to go. The starting format's really up to you. The number of starting QBs that you can possibly start are anywhere from 0 to 2. The number of starting running backs are 0 to 9. The number of starting receivers 0 to 9. Number of tight ends 0 to 9. So it's really a choose your own adventure. It's very, very exciting. I think every single draft room is going to be wildly different. We've already seen about 50 or so live drafts already take place over the last week or so. So we've got some good data already in terms of that coming in. Feel free to check that out. I got a link to that on the website article. But it's just crazy how every single draft is going to be so different. So it's really difficult to give blanket advice. I will say, in terms of historical scoring and how these stats and data fared compared to last year's performances, it really elevated the running backs. So I will be prioritizing RBs heavily and early and often in my drafts this year.
Kind of complicated.
Very complicated.
I got to admit, I enjoy that it's different, but maybe a little too far anyway. For more information on this, to see it, maybe some people are visual, auditory learners, whatever it might be. There's a full article over at fantasyguru.com. Again, you can send a note to support at fantasyguru.com. Click on the link in the top right corner. And it's not self-indulgent. People did ask. I saw it. So you did the right thing, Tyler. That's what we do at FG, right? We try to take the pulse of the community. What do you guys need? What do you want? We try to provide that for everybody. You mentioned Darren Waller, and just to give you kind of hinted at this already, just to give you your take here. I was in Discord. There was a question in the Dynasty room like 3 minutes after the move was announced, like legitimately. And I was like, Darren Waller? Like, come on. To me, I'm like, who cares? Now, there's an opportunity and there's a role. There's no doubt about that with the Dolphins, but it doesn't sound like you're very interested.
No, it's tough to get really interested in the rapper returning to football. Count me all the way out on this dude. Mike McDaniel, he asks a lot out of his tight ends, namely for them to catch passes and to block. We saw Mike Gesicki a few years back, did one of the two. Didn't really have a long career there in Miami. Wasn't really spectacular. When we add what Durham Smythe did after Gesicki left, Smythe was more of the blocker rather than the pass catcher. And we saw a lot of the pass volume really condense around Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Jonnu was the singular tight end we've seen in this Mike McDaniel era that has the ability to do both and find success. Shame they let go of him, but I can't fault Jonnu for getting a $12 million bag from Pittsburgh. Good for him. Get that money, man. He's in his 30s. Let him get what he can right now. Darren Waller, he is not a willing blocker. I have a hysterical line from he was talking about one of his games in 2023 when he was with the New York Giants, where he was asked to block in a game against Buffalo. And he was just like, at one point after blocking 3 plays on a drive, he went off the sideline and he was just staring up at the moon being like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I just blocking? So for that that sentiment and that mentality to go to a Mike McDaniel offense where he's going to be asked to block. He will be asked to block. Like, remember this, Mike McDaniel comes from the Shanahan tree, a lot of George Kittle blocking and movement and all that. You got to do both. I just think that we're really looking at a player that might not even make the final roster. I have zero fantasy interest. Especially if you're drafting now in best ball, just know that like we have a finite number of spots in our drafts, 18 or 20 rounds. Taking a 0 there, it really hurts when you don't have a waiver wire available to you. I'll say this here. Find whoever went after him in your dynasty leagues, whether they spent $1 or 100% of their fab to go get him. And that's your mark. That's the weak link in your league where you want to try and hustle them out of whatever kind of capital, draft capital, players that you can. They're the mark in the league if they're going after Darren Waller right now.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. We talked to Tyler a lot about the wide receiver. He focuses a lot on that in season, the wide receiver matchups and all that. So I wanted to pick your brain a little bit and kind of gentle about the wide receiver position here, Tyler, by starting off. Who's been the biggest riser for you to this point at the wide receiver position? It could be somebody that no one was talking about that now you might think is a wide receiver 5. Maybe some wide receiver 4 is creeping into the wide receiver 2 rankings for you. Who, the more you've dug into things, has started to intrigue you more and risen the most up your board?
Okay, that's an interesting question because I actually viewed it in another light. I'll answer it this way first. It might actually be Jalen Waddle, where now that we have Jonnu out of the picture, perhaps we get to see more of that vertical game come through for Miami. And they're not just going to lean solely on the dinks and dunks and underneath stuff where I think Achane was the biggest winner of this Jonnu transaction where Achane, ton of receptions. I think he had 6.1 receptions in games with Tua starting. That's a lot for a running back. 6.1 receptions per game. That's, I think, better than what Alvin Kamara was doing last year. That's very, very notable. But I'll also add that I think that this is a team that should get back to throwing more vertical because they can't just do the underneath stuff. When you consistently play underneath, you're playing too conservatively. You're adding another safety into the box. But this was their counter to opposing defenses countering them with the too high because they had Tyreek, because they had Jalen Waddle. They were putting 2 safeties deep often against Miami. And McDaniel's counter to that was to target his guys underneath. So the counter to the counter as we go forward another year, I think is to sprinkle in some more vertical shots to guys like Waddle and Tyreek on the outside. Waddle, I think he's right now been like a guy in the mid 50s. I wouldn't be shocked if he got closer to that high 40s in the next week or so in terms of ADP climbing. Looking at just ADP over the last 2 weeks, the largest riser has been Dante Thornton, a Raiders rookie wide receiver. Most of that has been because of him running with the ones in camp. We got news of that a few weeks back. Those unfamiliar with this guy, he's a 6'5", 205-pound speedster out of Tennessee. The Raiders grabbed him in round 4. Keep in mind the Raiders also grabbed Jack Besh in round 2 of this year's draft. But I'm not really surprised that Thornton is the riser. Keep in mind that these guys are playing in t-shirts and shorts. The hyper athletic freaks that are 6'5" and run 4.3, they should be standing out right now. Yes. If they're not, that's the bigger red flag to me. And Chip Kelly talked him up about a month ago, talking about how if you could draw up a receiver, it's basically Thornton's body type, someone with that length and catch radius and the speed. But I'm taking that with a grain of salt. Do you know what Thornton's catch radius was? His arm length, 57th percentile. So we're getting a lot of coach speak here because it's summer. So I'll say this. I like to look for consistent drum beats through the offseason of positive news coming out. This is one. It's the first little bump. We got to make sure we hear this consistently as we get through. Training camps are supposed to start mid or late July. I think the 19th is when some of them start for rookies. So if we start hearing consistent drum beats of Thornton playing with the ones and out there and through receiver sets, then we can start raising him up your respective draft boards. But right now, I haven't really adjusted my rankings at all with Thornton.
Jack Besh is obviously somebody who's kind of going in the other direction because Thornton's been
biggest faller. Yeah,
he'd be the guy you would put as the biggest faller, huh?
Numerically, yes, he has the biggest faller. Okay. Luther Burden was another big faller too, another rookie receiver, namely due to injury though for him. Burden hasn't been able to practice. He's got a soft tissue injury, and Ben Johnson's just been really saying negative things about him. We need him out there. He needs those valuable reps, the valuable time with the coaches, with his teammates. He is expected to be ready for training camp, Luther Burden, so that's at least a positive, which is in 2-3 weeks from now. So I will mention Burden right now is a huge ADP discrepancy between Underdog, pick number 115, and DraftKings 140.
Wow. Yeah.
So if you want some burden, now's the time to get him on DraftKings.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Who should we be talking more about at the wide receiver position? You got a name that says, I don't ever hear this. No one ever asked me a question about this guy. No one ever brings this guy up. They're always talking about his teammate. They're focusing on the wrong guy in this offense. Is there a wide receiver that maybe we should be looking at a little bit more closely?
Yeah, I'll put on my Eagles fandom hat for a minute here. I think DeVonta Smith is like a guy that's quietly been that man. He's averaging a rock solid 14.8 fantasy points per game over the last 3 years combined. That's quietly a mid-range wide receiver 2 status. When I did our wide receiver outlooks for this year's draft guide, where I went through the top 60 receivers, put them in different tiers and categories. And one of the stats I found when looking up DeVonta Smith was over the last 3 years, he ranks number 12 among all wideouts in total receptions. That screams buy in terms of a high floor PPR asset. And we have to keep in mind he has insane contingent value in the event of an AJ Brown injury. So this to me is a great click right now. We're getting him right now that 4-5 turn in current drafts. I like selecting him right there. I think he's a great get, and you can get him with any type of build, whether it's receiver heavy, running back heavy to start your draft, knowing you've got a quality wide receiver 2 there at that 4-5 turn. He's an easy click and an easy pairing play with Jalen Hurts.
Maybe this is then a stupid follow-up question, but Zay Flowers or DeVonta Smith? Is it obviously DeVonta Smith for you? I mean, in the case of Zay Flowers, he's higher in the pecking order with his team. He's the number 1 versus the nominal 2. But we know that the game with the Ravens, a lot of it's on the ground, et cetera, et cetera. Both guys, neither one's going to tip the scales at 6'3", 220, right? So there's some physical similarities there. DeVonta Smith, easily for you over Zay Flowers or no?
Easily, yeah.
Okay.
So Zay Flowers, I like him quite a bit. He's just very volatile, which is fine. He has a quality 24% target share last year in 2024. That was, I believe it was top 15 among all receivers. But translating that to actual targets, it was 6.8 targets per game because, like you said, the Ravens don't throw a ton. And he went from the 15th highest target share to that 6.8 targets per game being 39th. So when you add in that context, it's a huge drop in terms of the productivity from Flowers. Add in some unknowns with DeAndre Hopkins entering the fold, Rashad Bateman getting that contract extension. Who knows what they're going to do at the tight end position. I think we're still going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets. There's a lot of volatility on a week-to-week level where I'm taking my shots with Flowers in best ball preferably, where I don't have to worry about the start sits in the low weeks. Just I get to capitalize on the spike ones.
Jameson Hensley, by the way, of ESPN says that Devontae Walker's the guy that's impressed him the most. So all these Ravens guys are going
shorts.
60 catches for 900 yards for all of them this year. Shorts, yeah, he should. He's one of those guys that should stand out in shorts. You're right about that. Disappointing season last year. Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Let's go kind of to the other end of things with the wide receivers and do another either or here. 2 guys that used to play in the same state right down the street from each other. Now, obviously, Jakobi Meyers in Las Vegas with the Raiders. You've got Jauan Jennings with the Niners. Both of these guys are veterans. Both of these guys coming off solid seasons last year. Neither one a ceiling play at this point of their careers. I think both of them are more floor plays. In the case of Meyer, the offense has changed with the Raiders. New head coach, new quarterback. In the case of Jennings, we know Brandon Ayuk's not going to be ready at the start of the season. So there's more of an opportunity for Jauan Jennings with Deebo Samuel also out of town. Which one of those 2 veterans would you prefer? And does the answer change depending upon the type of league you're in?
No, but I would say the closing remarks you had on Jennings make him the player that I would prefer to target.
Okay.
Let's start with Jakobi Meyers here. My belief from last year is that the Raiders artificially saw some boosted volume late in the year, especially late in games, due to the combination of a terrible offense and a terrible defense. I saw a tweet the other day. I wish I could give credit, but I forget it. With the most targets in the second half when trailing by 2 scores or more. The top 3 players, 2 of the top 3 were Jakobi Meyers and Brock Bowers. So these guys are seeing a lot of garbage time production, essentially. I'm expecting the Raiders to take a far bigger leap forward in terms of converting third downs, staying on the field, having a more successful offense, scoring more points with all the changes they've got with respect to the quarterback, running back, offensive scheme, play calling. It's just a whole new team to evaluate. And I'm expecting that garbage time production that Jakobi saw last year to kind of dry up a bit. Adversely, I think we can say the opposite for Jauan Jennings, where we could almost pencil him in for more volume, given Deebo's departure to Washington, the likely pupless start for Brandon Ayuk, if not more. He could be on IR to start the year.
Yep.
We'll see how that one plays out. But in games where we saw a healthy Jauan Jennings and when he was on the field, the games where we played 60% of the snaps or more, which was week 3, he had that big sporadic explosive game. And then weeks 10 through 17, he was averaging 8.3 targets per game, a 27% target share, and 17.9 fantasy points per game. That's a wide receiver 8 pace in terms of a per game production. So I'm not expecting Jennings to maintain a top 10 status, but I do believe he has a good shot at outperforming his ADP, which is in the low 30s right now, wide receiver 30-ish, and performing really well this year. I'm buying the Niners. I'll also add that they have a very soft fantasy-friendly schedule after finishing 4th in the division last year. So give me Jennings over Jakobi Meyers by quite a bit. I think in every single format and every single team build, I would prefer Jauan Jennings.
Used to be on my Dynasty League team, but we redrafted this year. Darn it. Tyler Beaker, FantasyGuru.com. My Dynasty team was pretty good. All these guys, like, damn it. Oh, well. That's how it goes with the redraft. We've talked about the Bills previously, and I don't remember exactly what we talked about. We talked about the receiving core, obviously. We can talk about the Bills as we continue this wide receiver conversation with Tyler Beaker. Khalil Shakir, we saw last year, very likely to be what we see this year, right? A chain mover, catches the pass, doesn't drop the ball, that kind of a thing. Keon Coleman, Elijah Moore, Josh Palmer, kind of, for now at least, because it doesn't look like they're going to make any other splash moves. They're not bringing back Amari Cooper. Joshua Palmer is somebody that's been noted by the Joe Bassiglia that covers the team, saying, we're kind of sleeping on this guy a little bit. And you look at this receiving core, and kind of maybe, right? We've talked about this, I think, before, Tyler, is that Palmer is the guy that can stretch the field. They need that piece in their offense. It looks like he's going to be that guy. And we know that Josh Allen can fling the ball. Is he somebody that maybe should be being drafted a little bit earlier than he is?
Yeah, I think he's a perfect addition to this offense. Last year, Josh Allen threw deep route with respect to being 20-plus air yards at 15.1% of all of his pass attempts. That was the highest he's seen since his rookie year. Unfortunately, just 35.6% of those turned into completions. That was the lowest rate he's scored over the last 5 years, so they needed a vertical weapon, which is why they went out and got a guy like Keon Coleman in round 1 of the 2024 draft. Fortunately, Coleman didn't really perform up to expectation. We can add some injuries, some separation issues, but the guy they grabbed from LAC, Josh Palmer, I think this man is a perfect fit for what they were doing. He was one of the best separators last year on vertical routes. He's got the big play ability. We've seen it from time and time again, sporadically from Palmer. I think it will be sporadic here in Buffalo. Like, none of these guys last year eclipsed a 20% target share or greater. I'm not expecting Palmer to be that sudden wide receiver 1 that maybe they thought Amari Cooper could have been last year as well. That midseason signing that was kind of a whiff.
Right.
But Palmer, I think he's the best ball click you can get in Buffalo right now. Very, very cheap, very, very affordable, and he offers a lot of spike week potential. And
I interviewed him at the Super Bowl a couple years ago, so he must be a good guy.
For sure.
Yeah, that's the over the top. He was really interesting. He came out. I want to say he looked like he was going to go golfing, like he had a kind of like a vest on and everything like that. Very quiet, humble. Yes, sir. Shook our hands and everything. When he shook my hand, I was like, oh. Like, I was like, wow, bro. Like, yeah, you got more hand strength than I do. And it just, looking at him, he's not like overly physically imposing. He's similar size-wise to me. But like that hand, I'm telling you, man, it's like these guys are, like you're talking about the athletes earlier. Like, I don't think the average person realizes like how insane these guys are in football and how amazing athletically. I know you talk about scores all the time with all this stuff. Some of these guys are insane, Tyler.
Oh, yeah. Palmer, very talented player. I would not be shocked to see him. Actually, I think there's a chance he leads this team in receiving yards. I'm curious what the odds would be for that. If it were above plus 200, I might sprinkle a little bit of money on that. Yeah.
Hey,
I'll just shop around.
Yeah, you're still sprinkling bets too. I see them pop every once in a while in Discord. So that's something that you're doing, right? It's not too early for Tyler Beaker to be looking at some future markets and placing some bets over at fantasyguru.com, right?
Correct. We have a few already posted. I've been meaning to go through another wave of them in terms of the books don't always put them out at the same time with the same players. So you'll need to go through it several times. Yeah. It's time for another wave. Maybe I'll do that July 4th as well. My wife's working like a double basically. So I've got the whole day to either draft or do some bets. So I'll drink a few beers and do both, probably.
There you go. There you go. Tyler Beaker, FantasyGuru.com, having fun like we do over at FantasyGuru.com. I see the whiteboard behind you. I see it back there. It looks blank.
It is.
What has been erased that's about ready to drop at the side, or what are you about ready to add to work on that whiteboard?
One of my next milestone events for the offseason is to do a wide receiver versus coverage scheme article, which basically looks at how every player does against cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, which players exceed in terms of earning targets, which players exceed on a per route basis and productivity. Find out their schedules as well, which ones are slated to face. Let's say a guy's really, really good against cover 4. How often will that player face cover 4 coverage based on last year's tendencies for each defense, which takes a little bit of estimation on my behalf because there's a lot of movement in terms of new coordinators, new players, new members in the secondary. So it's a multi-week process. Should be out mid-July. It's July 3rd right now, but yeah, usually I start at July 4th after that weekend. So I'm excited to dive into that one because that's one of my favorite pet projects to do. And it used to be wide receiver versus cornerback analysis. I've expanded it to wide receiver versus coverage analysis to kind of encapsulate a bit more.
Well, it makes sense. There's Richard Sherman, some guys didn't travel, but most guys travel anyway. And it's more about the scheme that they're facing as you're talking about there. So yeah, I think that's a great move. And Tyler does that, which takes a lot of work. And that's something we do pride ourselves on over at fantasyguru.com. Jeff Manns does a lot of things like that too. In baseball, I can go to like 20 different websites and pull all kinds of stuff. I can pull spreadsheets and all this kind of football. It's really tough to do that. A lot of the data that you see in football is done by hand. It's not AI generated, right? This is done by hand. So when Tyler's talking about doing it, it's a lot of work. So take that into account when you're reading these studies and realize some of the studies at fantasyguru.com, they're not other places. They have similar things, but the similar things the other sites have are beep, bop, boop, computer set. They're not doing what Tyler's doing. So keep that in mind with his work. You can go to fantasyguru.com, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner and get signed up. You can talk to him in Discord, ask him about his pub crawl, ask him about what his favorite beers are. You can also ask him dynasty questions or season-long questions or best ball questions. As you just noted there, he's continually working, as is the staff. And remember, when you sign up at FG, you get in now, it's all season long. So it's through the end of the regular season, you get that coverage there when you sign up. Or you can sign up for the VIP Platinum. I don't know if it's still 50% off or not. It's supposed to be over, but I heard news yesterday that Ted Schuster might still be letting people in at half price. So get in now if you're going to do the VIP Platinum. That's 365 days a year. Every single thing we do at the website, every sport, article, live stream, podcast, whatever the hell we're doing, VIP Platinum package. Send a note to support at fantasyguru.com. It's not on the website, but send a note to support at fantasyguru.com and see if Ted will still give you that discount. Tyler, thanks for coming on. Appreciate your work today. Appreciate your work every day. Appreciate you. I hope you have a good time. Stay safe, all that good stuff. It sounds like you will because you're walking on the pub crawl, and we'll look forward to getting an update. Take a photo or two because, like you said, you might forget some of the details.
Sure, will do. Should be a good weekend. I hope everyone stays safe tomorrow. Keep your dog's ears covered if they are sensitive to fireworks. Yep. And I hope everyone has a good holiday weekend.
Do you have fireworks around, by the way? Are you?
I'm 3 months in a new place. It'll be my first time experiencing it.
So I don't know. Sometimes you can see them from your house. Sometimes you got to go somewhere. So hopefully, can you do fireworks at your house? Is it legal?
I'm hoping not.
Yeah. All right.
My dog does not enjoy that.
Okay. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed on that one too. Tyler, thanks for your time. We'll talk to you a week from now, next Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Ray.
You got it. For Tyler Beaker, I'm Ray Flowers. Got the DFS article for baseball coming up, some bets later tonight, and then the final episode of Elite Sports Game Time with Justin Fencerman from 8 to 10 Eastern. Don't forget to catch Jeff Mann's Elite Sports Show, 3 to 6 Eastern today on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. For Tyler, I'm Ray. It's been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by the one and only FantasyGuru.com.